Emotional damage! How are you?
I am very emotional,
Emotional.
as usual.
How was your emotions during your Christmas time? Did you have a good time?
They were fatty emotions,
And happy, I hope.
very bodily emotions.
Nice. And any New Year resolutions like New Year, New Me, or no?
No, I don't like New Year's resolutions. Come on, it's they never work as well.
Yeah.
85% of New Year's resolutions end on the third week of January.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. So today we are talking about
Emotions.
emotions.
We should start with a definition of emotions.
Sure. Emotions are quite complicated psychological states that prepares us to behave.
Oh, behave.
Emotions, helps us to act. I mean, it is the state, psychological state. It is an automatic response also. It is very short-lasting response on a neurological level, on a brain level.
Everything that you said just reminds me that there is no consensus on the definition of emotions.
Yes. It is very complicated, isn't it? I mean, it is also very difficult to define
Sure.
emotions, but we did our best.
But
There are still
no definition of emotions.
Yes.
Would you like to hear a neurological definition?
I would
of
love to.
emotions?
I would love to
It
because
sounds very dumb,
okay.
but emotions are mammalian elaborations of primitive reptile reactive responses.
Okay.
Yes, neurologists tend to be a bit more boring
Boring,
than psychologists, it seems, at least definition-wise.
Yes, I understand. But so I understand that it is a kind of a survival thing that we have since the beginning of
It's just
time.
more emotional than than our reptilian.
Are you an emotional person?
Oh, definitely,
Yeah.
sure. You know why I'm emotional?
Why?
It's the same the same reason you are emotional, because we are both cancers.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I heard that cancers are very emotional because we are how do they call water zodiacs?
Yeah.
They are more emotional.
Watery sign.
Yeah, watery sign. We are more like we like to stay at home and we are
Homies.
emotionally available.
That's different, I
Yeah?
believe. Cancers aren't that famous for being emotionally
Available?
available.
Really?
And I believe we've talked a bit too much about astrology in our emotions episode.
Do you have any favorite emotion that you would like to feel most of the time? Or
Love is my favorite emotion. But love is not an emotion.
is it? No, it is. It is, but it is very much layered actually. I mean, we cannot describe love in one with one sentence or only with one emotion. It is for example, if there is a trust, joy, and maybe a romantic sexual involvement with another being.
That's your recipe for love then.
Yeah, ish. There are also different types of love. Platonic love. You still
Platonic
feel
love.
it. Like
Platonic love. Let's change the
it
subject.
might be the best. Who knows? Love is very complicated emotion. Actually, it is an emotion that we work a lot as a psychologist. On that emotion.
Do
It
you?
is.
You deal with love?
We deal with people who feels.
What kind of psychology? No, of course you deal with love. I'm just joking.
Yeah, of course.
Love is the onion of emotions because of all those layers.
There is anger
In love?
sometimes.
In the later stages?
And then we decide. Do you think that there are healthy emotions and unhealthy emotions?
I believe they are, but you're the psychologist.
Well, I would say there is no unhealthy emotions. That's 100% sure. But the way how we manage those emotions can make us unhealthy. Otherwise, anger is not an unhealthy emotion. Being sad is not unhealthy. Every emotion is trying to tell us something because those are like the feedback machine of our body, and they try to tell you something. Like if you're angry, why someone would get angry? It is usually about protecting your borders, physically and emotionally. If someone crosses that border, it is very normal for you to feel anger, so you can be prepared to fight if it's necessary, or flight. Yes, exactly. But at the end, overall, anger is not an unhealthy emotion.
Yeah, I would never call anger an unhealthy emotion.
But if you suppress that emotion, if you
anger.
avoid that emotion, any emotion can be suppressed, but it cannot disappear. So it will always come back in a very unhealthy way.
And haunt you.
Definitely.
So every unsuppressed emotion is healthy.
Kind of, yes. So if you let them live as it is, there is a very fun fact, actually. I mean, it's always interesting for me that, there is an intensity of the emotion that you feel very highly, sometimes very much angry or very sad. So there is an intensity of an emotion. And research just shows us that being aware of that emotion changes the intensity. The moment you realize that you are angry for some reason, you lower the intensity. And again, on a neurological, yeah, exactly. And the other thing is that if you really verbalize the emotion, it also lowers the intensity of that emotion. So if you are angry and you say, I'm angry, it gets a bit less.
You're now calm.
Yeah.
So what do I do with my very healthy psychopathic urge to kill? I try not to suppress it, so it must be a nice thing to have.
Well, do you have such emotion? Then we can talk about. I mean, there is a theory that Freud says that there is two main instinct, which is eros, and Thanos, which is the urge for killing, or also destroying yourself. But I don't know if we can categorize that as an emotion. It is more of an instinct. It's not an emotion.
I believe this is the place where I say I don't really have urges to kill, and that's just for humor. But going back to love, love isn't an emotion as well, right? It's a feeling. So
it is an emotion. Like
it is?
It is. It is an emotion. It is an emotion that we feel. I mean, any emotion goes through feelings. So, but like I said, sometimes some emotions are more layered. It requires few things to come together, and at the same time, there is no pure explanation of what love is. We can discuss that to the morning, what love is. And
the morning.
And
with the cigarette, you mean?
Sure. But it is, maybe it is one of the main emotions. Would you say as an emotion that there is bad emotions? Actually, rather than saying bad emotions, I can say that people can feel bad. And there is a literally scale of emotions falling under bad. So when you say I feel bad, what do you mean? When you feel bad, it can be anxious, it can be sad, it can be boring. Sometimes being bored can be also a bad emotion.
Yeah, boredom.
We literally have a saying, I'm feeling bad.
Yeah, but we have to put in some theory in here, I guess. There are core emotions, right? And
Yes,
they are mostly subconscious, right?
Yes, 100%.
Yeah. And then when it goes to the conscious, to our cortex, they become feelings, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Or they become pattern with the time,
Yeah.
Like those are automatic responses. We really cannot control what we feel, but also at the same time, Emotions are something that we learn. So we can learn to control them, use them. Of course, because there is a stimulation, so you cannot really choose how I will make you feel. Now, if I just out of nowhere jump and scream at you, and
Let's
I
do
become
that in one episode.
yes, definitely. If I become very violent, you will probably feel a certain way. This is an automatic response, or maybe you will fall in love with me if I'm too, flirty and or just being myself.
I guess there's a percentage of chance of that happening, but I wouldn't put it above 0.16, maybe.
Yeah. But at the end, emotions are actually in the very core of being a human, Maybe you can tell us more about, because it is very much in the brain, in amygdala, many parts of the brain involves and plays a role.
Yeah. Just with any other high function of the brain, they aren't very localized. I mean, there are centers for this and that, but just like cognition, emotions are pretty much network based. They're almost all around the place. But yeah, there are some more important parts regarding neuroanatomy for emotions, and the limbic system is pretty much the center for emotions. And it's interesting because the limbic system is a very archaic part of the brain. Even our cousins, the reptiles, have it. Yeah. And it is very closely linked anatomically to olfaction, to our ability to smell. So there is that very intricate connection between smell and emotions.
Emotions, yeah. That's, I believe, really, at least in my case, really smells are giving me way more stronger emotions.
Yeah, and very fast.
Very fast.
They are very close to each other, so the signal is travels very fast.
Yeah.
Usually in people, actually, the first memory, the very first memory that you have is usually linked to some smell. Even at some age that most people would say you cannot remember that because that you were too young. If there was a smell involved and there's an emotion linked to that, a memory can be formed much earlier.
Definitely. Whenever I am in a neighborhood or in a place where I maybe grow up, and there is a certain smell, and that smell really brings me some kind of nostalgic emotions.
Yeah, like baklava.
Well, how can I say it? Nostalgic emotions. How do you feel about nostalgia?
Cancers are very nostalgic.
Nostalgic is it? It's not a bad emotion. It's not also a good emotion.
It's a mixed bag, yeah.
It's very complicated.
I love nostalgia. But I try to limit it as much as I can. Not as much as I can, but I tend to limit it a bit because it might really, if you do too much nostalgia, it will put you in a bad mindset.
Depends if you're a masochist. Maybe you like to enjoy some. But I believe in nostalgia. There is a certain amount of beautiful emotion because somehow it reminds you beautiful old days. But at the same time, a bit of sadness.
Yeah,
because it's past.
It's over.
Exactly.
You're never gonna be in that moment again. Yeah.
Love is the same way like nostalgia. Now when we try to, layer it, there are different emotions that are being in one place. Love is the same thing. Sometimes love can be very violent. You can stab someone because of
next
love.
episode. Violent love.
There are healthy love relationships and unhealthy relationships. So emotions are very important part of us. At least in psychology, it really describes if the person is healthy or not because it is directly builds your pattern about behavior. So
true. This is something most people don't realize, that their behavior is mostly based on emotions.
Exactly. And as we have discussed in our previous intelligence episode about emotional intelligence is very important for the way how you behave. So if you do not have emotionally high intelligence, which means that if you are able to analyze, see, and control your emotions, that high intelligence, if you have it, so you would probably behave properly in the society with other people, and you would create much better social connections. You would have higher chance of success in even business and in even personal relationships. That's why many actually relationships fail because of an emotional intelligence, or maybe they are the wrong people, but
like us.
Yeah.
But here we have to say that, and this is important, that reason and cognition and emotions, they're not really some things that clash with each other. They work together, and this is something that is still,
or at least should
very
work
hard
together.
Yeah, sure. But they both help you, and you cannot have just one or the other and live a mentally healthy life.
Definitely.
For sure.
How about those people, recently I had a discussion of that if someone is emotionless, like if it's possible, but some people tend to look like that they don't care about their emotions, and they can be very kind of assholes, and they can do whatever they want, and they can climb the stairs of success being unempathetic about other people's emotions. Do you think that it's a good thing, a healthy thing, or
there's nuance in that. You can be emotionally intelligent and do that. You're just a bit psycho.
Would you run over me?
Sure.
And I don't care about Shevki's emotions. I will climb the success stairs myself.
Especially with you,
you wouldn't
not the right
blink
moment. We will speak about memory in one of the next episodes, but I believe both memories and emotions are something that really actually develop us as personalities, and especially emotional memories. And you mentioned the amygdala. This is a brain structure in the temporal lobe. It's interesting because it's the part where emotional memories are stored, especially negative ones.
Okay, that's really nice topic.
That time you told me that I was ugly, lazy, fat, so it's still in my amygdala. And
also in mine, probably I read all over.
It was probably a positive memory for you. There's a place for positive memories as well. It's not that well defined. There are some structures in our frontal lobe, the ventral striatum and the prefrontal cortex. Probably this is where the positive memories are stored.
Is it true that there are those years that we do not remember? We have this amnesia in the childhood until we are 4 or 5, I believe. So. But still we go through emotions. And just because you said about the emotions and the memory of emotions, if a baby has a certain very intense emotion during that amnesia time, do you think that this memory can reflect to future?
Oh, sure, of course. Emotional trauma, even in early childhood, definitely will form you it will form your personality. That's for sure.
So emotions are very, very strong, biological, neurological things that are
mechanisms.
Yeah.
As much as we try to make it as abstract as they are still based on neural pathways and neurotransmitters and so on. So, yeah.
Yes. Do you have tips for causing emotional damage?
That's easy.
Causing emotional damage.
Yeah.
I cannot.
Why? It's so, as just like with everything else in life, it's much easier to destroy and damage than repair, right? So,
yeah, definitely. Causing a damage shouldn't be so difficult.
Of course.
I mean, considering that many people actually emotions, there is an emotional development in the childhood, as we mentioned, and it can be very much traumatic for some certain people. And in many psychological sessions, we actually try to regulate and reorder all those emotional memories or emotional responses that was developed during the childhood. So it is not very difficult to emotionally damage someone if they were already like grow up with that pattern, and it can be
Damage is always easier on already damaged
yes,
goods.
definitely.
Sure.
But sometimes it is good. You should have an emotional damage to maybe realize
More.
things, or it can actually make you resistant to certain things,
Yeah, at
certain
some point.
emotional damages.
If it was the right amount.
Yes, exactly. It can create a resistance. So
I have a very psychological question for you.
yes, please.
Do we cry because we are sad, or are we sad because we cry?
We are crying. Oh. Well, actually, I will go further. I have seen many people crying in very weird and different occasions. People can cry even after having a good sex. So, or
What happens with you?
not yet, but I actually looking at something very beautiful sometimes makes me cry. Out of aesthetics, it's not sadness. It's some kind of happiness.
It's actually called awe, right?
What?
Awe,
What is it?
AWE. It's a very,
Yeah.
it's actually a very healing feeling. Yeah,
Yeah, definitely.
like a,
I mean,
a peak emotion when you are a part of something vast and beautiful.
Yes,
when you
exactly.
contemplate something beautiful.
exactly.
Yeah.
But at the end, crying is a response. It's a somatic response to certain emotions, but it has a very wide range of why it is happening. Definitely we are crying when we are heavily depressed and maybe we go through a loss. Because sadness, by the way, has very big connection with loss. Sadness is an emotion that helps us to deal with losses usually. It doesn't have to be someone dying or so, but in a way you lose something. It can
Your
be,
headphones.
yes, you can have a little heart attack, when you don't have your phone and headphones. But as a response, somatic response, happiness sometimes can make you cry. Sadness, sometimes out of anger, but for example, that's a good topic, when people cry out of anger, I believe it is not healthy. Because that gotcha. That means you hold anger for quite
Yes, thank
so
you.
long. You might seem very calm and a very gentle person, but when you hold the anger, suppress the anger, or when you avoid facing those emotions, and it becomes so heavy, it makes you feel even sad, and you cannot just due to some certain reasons, maybe you don't know how to show your anger or
Yeah, there's
live it properly.
helplessness involved.
Yes.
Sure.
Maybe you were never taught that you have to show anger. Someone always said that no, you cannot show it. And when it is so much, and then this energy, this emotion tries to go out, but you hold it, and that gives you a physical burden, and it turns out it's kind of leaking with your tears. So
Crying out.
yes.
That's
yes.
like a very good title for your first track in your first album. Crying out.
Crying out.
Nice.
Can
Actually,
be.
yeah.
We should create a band, maybe. Why not?
Actually, why I asked if we cry when we are sad or the other way around, it's a bit history of emotions research, because back in the day, scientists thought that emotions are the result of those somatic reactions. which is, of course, now we know that it's not true, but it's very indicative of how little scientists knew about emotions before.
Yeah.
We still don't know much, but
we have every day tons of researchers right now, but still.
But in a way, actually, they were right, at least in a bit, because it's a feedback. Like if you are sad and you cry, crying will actually make you sadder as well. And it's interesting because now with the rise of Botox injections. Well, what happened? Where did I jump? No, we now know that using Botox on the rage muscles actually makes you a bit less angry. Because that feedback loop stops working that well. Because you cannot express facial anger, and that kills the feedback loop a bit, and you don't feel that much anger. So in a way, they were right. They just mixed up, which is the.
But do you think it's healthy?
Which one, Botox?
Overall,
It's a cosmetic thing. If you want to do it,
not the Botox. I mean, if you are not able to show certain facial
it sounds like a stupid life hack that doesn't work. I mention it just because it's interesting that you can put a stick in that feedback loop and it changes.
Actually, there is this. Do you know there is this guy? His name is Paul Ekman, I believe, and he's a professor in United States, and he worked on facial expressions, and he brought a new term to literature, which is micro expressions on a face.
That's like microdosing your facial expressions every day. Or
I mean, what he did was he went to, I believe, Australia, Africa, to meet a very primitive communities. And he tried to understand if the facial expressions are universal and it is not affected by culture. It's not affected.
And some were, but some weren't.
Yes, and mainly we have certain emotions that is universal. All around the world.
But then there are cultural
ones, exactly.
And actually, those cultural differences are very much around how one of the genders should display emotions. And this is very different in different cultures.
Ooh, okay, we are going to gender.
Next some other episode.
You think women are more because there is this that idea. Do you think that women are more emotional than men?
It's a Nobel Prize question, true. But at least in mental illnesses, mental health problems, some are more common in women and some are more common in men. But which ones are more emotional, nobody can tell you that.
Well, there are certain emotions, I believe, that are mainly visible in men and women in certain emotions. Definitely, for example, anger and maybe violence, because men has a certain type of physical structure, and even in our brain, that's how we developed.
True.
And women are more socially
passive-aggressive.
That's a good explanation. Kind of.
What we know is that the two genders just process emotions differently.
Yes.
If they're that
what is the difference? How do they?
Well, women are more like they have better connection and better communication of emotions between each other. Men don't do that, and that's a huge difference that actually forms your mental health pathology with time.
Oh, definitely. I believe even on a behavior when women communicate with each other, they tend to talk face to face, and usually their body stays like that and
more expressive.
But men mainly looks at the same direction, but they're just next to each other. Mainly there's this idea that because men used to hunt, and while hunting they always had to focus on one direction, so they create their social communication with that type of more like
with a group with a common goal.
Exactly. But ladies are also, because the social skills and such kind of emotions goes through uh, women teaching the baby, so they also always hold the baby, and they always prefer to have face-to-face connection, and therefore I guess it helps, or it differentiates the different types of emotions to develop.
Actually, regarding the limbic system, we definitely are different, and that makes women the better caregivers as well.
Oh, definitely.
Like having a single parent, it's better for it to be the mom, definitely.
What helps us to control our emotions?
Actually, we
My
know that.
prefrontal
Yeah,
cortex
exactly.
is
It's
more developed. Do
Yeah.
you think that I would be more available and more capable of controlling and regulating my emotions?
Yeah, but it's just inhibition.
Yeah.
It's not processing. It just stops it. And actually, it pretty much suppresses it. What you talked about. So this isn't really processing. Like our prefrontal cortex can suppress behavior and emotions, but in a very restrictive way. It's not really the healthy processing of emotions that we actually talked about.
Which emotions do you think are more difficult to regulate or control, or are there any differences or any emotion?
I was going to ask you that. Should we even regulate emotions? Is it possible? Is it healthy?
Well, if you are living in a mountain alone by all yourself and you don't have any interaction
do
with
whatever you want.
yeah, you can do, you can be very violent, you can be very emotional, you can cry out loud as much as you want, you can be insanely, like, pathologically happy, and you can even dance naked. But when it comes to create social proper connection where we as human beings try to live in communities, we definitely have to regulate our emotions. Why? Because if I do smash someone's head just because they were very unpolite on a traffic,
Like in your sessions.
yes, and then it wouldn't be so civilized.
Kind of.
Yeah, so we cannot, like, respond to every emotions that we have with a certain behavior. So sometimes we have to learn to, it's called,
To fucking behave.
yes, to fucking behave, exactly. It's called anger management, stress management. So we have to learn to manage our emotions to a socially acceptable level. We cannot always be ups and downs. And
So sad.
yeah. Psychological sessions are safe places for you to live all your emotions.
Is that why your office looks like that?
Exactly. I tell them, here you are allowed to do anything. You want to smash something, as long as you pay, no problem. You can just, smash it. No, jokes on the side. Yeah, we definitely have to regulate. How I mentioned before, really talking about your emotions changes the intensity. So it helps to regulate a lot.
Yeah.
Talking about emotions without filtering them, actually. We also tend to filter our emotions a lot because we think that it is not socially acceptable. For example, if you were told all your life that as a very etiquette lady, showing anger is not proper, then you would be suppressing your anger all your life, and maybe you would think that showing anger is not socially acceptable. But this is an emotion, and it has to go somewhere. It has to live
in your office.
Yeah, in my office. So maybe we have to relearn about how we should express emotions. It is very difficult nowadays, I believe. It's one of the main problems in our society. Today I was thinking, did you ever had in high school or in the middle school or...
No.
No, right?
No emotional education. If that's what you...
Yes.
Yeah.
There is these two things, I believe, mainly missing in our educational system all around the world. Sexual education and emotional education.
Yeah, and sexual emotions education.
Exactly. They are all one package. But how it is insane that such important and such big topic that is in the center of our lives are not being educated,
True.
and then you go out there and you see many people they are struggling with their emotions. They don't know how they should feel, or they don't know how to regulate when they feel certain type of emotions. And
But there's going to be more and more interested in emotions, both in a good way, like education, like you mentioned, but also due to bad interests in emotions. Like I believe everyone now knows that emotion is. I mean, more and more people now know that emotions are driving our lives, and this can be used by businesses, by corporations, and
definitely.
so on.
Do you think that upcoming generations are getting more emotional? I mean, do you think when you look at from the generation wise, like Gen Z, Gen Y, whatever they call boomers and so on, do you think that as the whole generation, people are becoming more and more emotional? Because, for example,
more emotionally intelligent, I would
Intelligent,
say.
yeah.
Yeah. You mentioned boomers, but boomers are they're several generations behind us, and they are actually a very good example of a very bad emotional intelligence. So yeah, generations are getting more and more emotionally intelligent. Like I said, this is getting better, but also emotions, I believe, are going to be more and more used with nefarious reasons.
there is those personality tests, which is not a
Next episode.
but is there any test that it measures emotional intelligence at the moment? I'm not aware of one.
I'm not
I
aware
mean, there
of
are
one as
certain
well.
personality tests,
There's
but
a
they
lot of
are
personality tests.
measuring the personality, like
Emotional
how open
intelligence.
you are,
There probably are. We're just not aware of them.
yeah.
Even economics are interested in emotions right now. Linguistics are actually interested in emotions right now. I've read a study where like an AI analyzes your speech and it tries to
Understand how you feel.
yeah. And not just like basic, like saying I am depressed and so on, but they have seen that the pronouns that you use are pretty much categorized in a specific domain of emotions. Like speaking about yourself usually means that you are kind of depressed. Speaking in the you, like in the second term, that means that you're a bit more in a frustrated rage domain.
Well, it is, of course, very logical that our emotions definitely reflect on our language.
We just don't understand that.
Yeah, definitely.
True.
Many things actually subconsciously, automatically, because emotions are very automatic things. Feeling is being aware of those emotions, and thoughts are built on all of those, like emotion, feeling, and then you have a certain thought about these emotions, and you are calculating
And then
the whole
behavior.
situation, and then you are behaving exactly.
True.
Yeah, it is quite complicated.
What about the alcohol and emotions and memory?
Alcohol kills inhibition and you get more emotional. So beautiful.
What kind of emotions we are having? Do we have
Depends on your personality.
personality?
Yeah.
Depending on the person, I guess it either lowers and higher the intensity of emotion. I see when some people are drinking.
Haven't seen lowered emotions in alcohol use, at least in my environment.
They are more.
Unless you're just sleepy. We'll talk about personality in our next episode. Yeah, we will describe our beautiful personalities.
Why, when you see a dead animal, one person will cry and another will get hungry?
Maybe you're just another species.
Yeah.
Or
maybe it's just the way how you learned it.
Depends on the animal as well.
Yeah.
If it's a hog, I would get hungry as well.
Yeah.
Probably.
Yeah. I remember that there was this speech in Pulp Fiction.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, if the pig is a clean animal, and the way how you feel about pig and dog, then those are different. You don't.
It puts you in a
He's the-
specific domain.
Yeah, like
People that like dogs are something.
maybe they feel more emotionally closer to the dogs.
It's called zoophilia.
I knew it. Enough about your emotions, Shevki.
Now because we act, also, isn't it very interesting? I very much think that theater, actors, actresses, what do? They act on what? On a certain behavior, of course. There is a topic and so on. But what makes a good actress and actors?
Money.
Empathy.
Emotions. When you have an empathy,
Yeah.
good empathy,
You can be
so you
empathetic
can
without
fake
being emotional.
emotions in a very realistic level. Or maybe they truly feel that emotion while they are acting, If you have to act
Should
angry
be a
right
coincidence. Like being angry and playing an angry character. Right?
yeah, but maybe sometimes you can use all those anger that you already have for something else, and you can just
Become an actor and heal yourself.
yes.
Well, they are the opposite examples as well.
And it should, Also, I believe it should be very heavy because your main product is emotions. And can you believe how much it should be difficult to fake emotions at some point,
Is it easier than faking orgasm? This episode is getting more fast. Yeah.
Let's see you on the next episode then.
About beautiful personalities.
Personality.
This video has been brought to you by Nuance Psychology.